Upgrade
Good
complete.
morning, team. We are back with another episode of Cajun Tiger Plays. I am Cajun Tiger, and this is a Let's Play series playing through Dyson Sphere Program. We're going to get started today by grabbing some of this stuff that we are running low on in our inventory. We need some assemblers. We probably won't be using assemblers or smelters too soon, but it never hurts to have extras. I'm going to grab half a stack of Tesla towers and a couple of stacks of sorters because we can always use sorters. Let's drop off our stone and our hydrogen from our inventory. And we definitely want to pick up the power for our mech. We were running very low. I don't know how I keep clicking on that and locking it down. I thought I had fixed that
Light
several
mode.
times, but maybe I didn't. All right, let's grab some refineries because we're going to be using that today. Look at our steel. It is still struggling, but the only thing we're mass producing with that steel is our foundations. And since we've got plenty of foundations and plenty of steel in there, it's not really a big issue right now. Did want to come over here and point out as we grab some more foundations, we are making more foundations than we had been making before now that we've fixed that in our former episode. So we're going to use those foundations today,
Light mode.
and we're going to build an array. I want to talk a little bit about how some of the philosophy behind the game, and people discuss this, particularly on Reddit. You can find some posts about it. Um, Different factory games people play, like Factorio, Satisfactory, whatever.
Mineral depleted.
There are different ways that people do things, and we're gonna talk about this while I grab this soil pile because we need soil pile for today. We need a lot of soil pile for today. Um, Different people play the game different ways, but the idea that you either build things in a single array, which is what we've been doing
Light mode.
lately, like with the plastic, we had all of our inputs coming in, forming plastic, and our outputs are going out. So, doing that in a single array or doing that in where you do multiple steps and you just come out with your finished product. There are good ideas and thoughts on both sides of the argument. I tend to prefer, as you can tell from the way we've done things
Light
in our
mode.
game so far, I tend to prefer doing things in single array, making one item, as opposed to doing multiple items. The reason I say that is because that's what we're going to be doing going forward. But what I'm going to show you in just a minute is that we did not do that
Light mode.
previously. So, where we had
Mineral
built
depleted.
our previous build dealing with oil, we built it with multiple types of refineries doing different things over here.
Light mode.
So, recall we used one recipe on the first part, and then we converted all that to a different recipe here, and it works. It's not a problem if you want to do it that way. Again, there's good people arguing on both sides for both different, not really arguing, but debating the merits of doing it either way. But I find it's a little more difficult to keep track of
Light mode.
uh, your amounts, your how much you're making and how much you're consuming and all of that. It gets a little bit more difficult to do that. Now, again, we're not being super strict with that in this particular playthrough. I have done playthroughs of, for example, Factorio, where I am very strict and I pay very close attention to how many belts are we building and how many belts are we consuming, and um, make sure that everything
Light
balances
mode.
out as best as we can. We're not doing that for this playthrough, and it's just a little bit more loose in how we're doing this playthrough. And that's not a problem. That's not a fault. It's just a different way to play. I didn't want to be too strict with this, particularly since, as I've mentioned before, this is only the second time I've played this game. So I wanted to spend a little less time being efficient and precise, and a little more time just playing and learning the merits of different ways of doing things. So, having said that, we are going to shift into doing things a little bit more of this one item per array standard of how I do things. So, anyway, all that said, feel free to play the game however you want to play it. It is for you to have fun. And I'm all about people playing the game the way they want to play it in order to have fun, as long as nobody's getting hurt. Again, I mentioned that before. You play the game you want to play. It's your game, and you have fun with it. All right. So the other thing I wanted to mention today is going forward, we are getting close to the end, but we are also getting close to our 30th episode. I wanted to finish this before 30 episodes, or within 30 episodes. That's not going to happen this time. That's okay. It's not a problem that we're going to go more than 30 episodes, but I do want to wrap this up as quickly as we can. And I think it can get boring for you guys watching me build a very long array. Like in this case, we're going to be building 24 refineries, handling stuff. It can get boring watching me build the whole thing. I know when I talk and explain how I'm doing things and talk about other things like our call out for the day or whatever, I know it's just so interesting and you don't want to miss a single word of what I say, but we're going to start doing more high speeds for the full build. We'll do what I'm doing right now and build the initial machine or two, just to kind of give everybody an idea of what we're doing. And then when we flesh out the rest of the array, I will do that in a high speed moment. Plus, it gives you the great opportunity to listen to some more cool music that I've selected for our high speed montage. So that's just something that we'll do just to get this particular playthrough done. Not that I'm in a rush to get it done. I just, I don't want to drag it on any longer than we need to. Uh-oh. Forgot to pick oil, or the number one slot is going to be oil for that one. So let's pick it here real quick. There we go. And let's put this one down. And then we'll bring the two lines back in. And once all of that's in place, I will take a few moments to explain what we're doing here. I did also, that was one other thing I wanted to mention, is if you're using a proliferator, because we've been doing this particular thing on the backside more often, it might make sense for you to put your center line on that fifth meridian, and that just gives you a little more wiggle room to work back there. If we were using a proliferator, we would not be able to use this particular method because we're doing 3 items. We're doing 4 items. So let's look at, well, no, we could use a proliferator for this one. Let's look at the recipe before I get myself in trouble and talk too much. All right, we are going to be bringing in 4 full belts of crude oil. We'll be refining that into 4 full belts of refined oil and 2 belts of hydrogen. So if we were going to jump into our planetary logistics station, if we were going to use proliferator, we could bring the proliferator fluid, one of these guys, in on our bottom section here. And we would want to have a little bit more space in our area over here so that we can bring it out that bottom line and run it through and cover all of these lines that are going in. So there are different philosophies of how you use proliferator, and we'll probably use it at some point just to talk about that. But the idea that I like and the way I prefer to do it is proliferate items before you use them, and then they can come back. You're not proliferating the output of the machine, you're proliferating the input to the machine. And then wherever this refined oil is going to get used, it gets proliferated before we use it. Same thing with the hydrogen. So that's just a non-necessary standard that I would follow if I were doing it, but you're welcome to do it your way. Again, it's up to you. All right, we've got our recipe chosen. What we're going to do with these refineries, if I can find, there's my sorters. We're going to take crude oil in on this side, and we will take our refined oil out and our hydrogen out on the outside. Then here in the center, because we're outputting only one hydrogen and two refined oil, we can use a full belt of refined oil, and then we can share the middle belt to put hydrogen on from both sides. Again, take our crude oil in and put hydrogen, or put refined oil on the closer belt and hydrogen on the belt that's further away. And with all of that done, we will put our Tesla towers here and here, and we will jump into high speed mode where we'll talk about the formula and why we're going to be building 24 of these. So for our recipe for processing crude oil into refined oil and hydrogen, if you'll recall, we use 2 crude oil every 4 seconds, and that processes into 2 refined oil. So our building speed for an oil refinery is 1. So if we take our 2 divided by 4 seconds, 2 oil, refined or crude, divided by 4 seconds, that's 0.5 times 1 gives us a 0.5 multiplier, and our belt is a speed of 12, so we will be doing 12 divided by 0.5, which is 24. So that's why we are doing 24 of the refineries. Let's do our shout out today while we have a few minutes. And today's shout out is for another food shout out since I'm still on my diet. We are going to do a shout out today for pizza. Absolutely everybody loves pizza. Maybe not everybody, but almost everybody loves pizza. We particularly get pizza for our not New Year's Eve, for Christmas Eve. We have Christmas Eve pizza and watch Charlie Brown Christmas specials. So that is a tradition in our family, but pizza is a big part of our diet when we are hungry. Hope you like pizza too. Okay, so we're going to voice over this part because I completely forgot to unmute my mic when I started playing again after the high speed mode. So we set our items to demand for the crude oil and put just a little foundation there just to cover that up while we had it and we were here. And we wait for the crude oil to come in, and then we'll go through, and as we see it's starting to process, we will watch everything that we've done just to get a eyeball on it, make sure it's all working correctly, and move on to our next build. You can see the chemical plants, all the refineries, that is, not chemical plants, doing their thing. And we had one section here where somehow the output did not get tagged in our blueprint that we pasted down, but now that it got tagged, now everything starts working. So again, it is very easy to think you're done and turn everything on to demand and let it all start flowing, and then forget or leave and not pay attention to whether or not things are actually working. I've done that a number of times in this playthrough, and you guys have seen we've had to go back and clean things up and fix things, and even stuff from the very beginning where I forgot to connect a miner to that original iron patch that we tapped into, and we weren't getting iron from there. All right, we are back 100% live. Sorry about that weirdness, but sometimes these things happen. All right, what we are going to do next is work on our sulfuric acid, and we're going to do that right here. One thing to note is that we are not starting on a perfect lune or perfect meridian. We're just going to start here because we have room. So at some point you have to make a decision. Do you want to be perfect on the alignment, or do you want to just get it done? There are values on both sides of that argument, and I think you could make the argument that sometimes it's more important to keep that efficiency, keep that alignment proper, and get it exactly aligned and everything. That is much easier to do on a brand new planet as well. But we are not going to do that in this case. So actually, what I do want to do is we'll build just a little more foundation. We'll get started over here one further. All right, we will line up the same way we normally do. I believe right there, closer to the equator, or closer to the pole, I should say. And let's put our chemical plant down. Now, one of the things about this build is that it uses the refined oil, but we also are going to be using stone and water. So we'll have to go get water soon. We'll do that in a few minutes. But for now, we're going to get this build set up and running. We'll end up with 9 chemical plants doing our sulfuric acid, but we're only going to have 3 lanes because we have 4 items total. So it's a little bit hard to fit everything in, I guess is the right way to say it, if we don't do it that way. So let's get things built here. We'll start with our lane of items returning. Let's turn around so we can actually see. That needs to come down here, and the sulfuric acid is going to go in there. And then we want to bring our stone out, which will be in the number 1 slot, and put it here. Then we want to build our chemical plant based on that location. Where did our chemical plants go? There they are. So we'll build it right here so that it can access both of those, and then we'll need refined oil and water. So we'll bring refined oil will be in our number 2 slot. We'll bring it out here, and then water will be in our number 3 slot. And actually, for this build, we'll put stone, refined oil, water, and our sulfuric acid, and that way we can see those as we're building. That makes it a little bit easier to do. Probably should have been doing that all along, but I wasn't thinking about it before, so we'll do it now. All right, we will have a line coming back in, which is our sulfuric acid, and it's going to come in right here. And then we will have a line for the stone coming out. Put our chemical plant here, lined up just right. And then we'll have our refined oil coming out here. And then we'll have our water coming out here. Then another line of sulfuric acid going in, a line of stone coming out, and chemical plant. And then here's where it gets a little bit more complex. We'll build our refined oil. Let's do it here. Bring it out. Oops, not that far. Bring it out to there. And then here we'll have our water coming out. So again, you would not be able to build this way if you wanted to use proliferator, but we're going to build it this way just so we can get it done for now, and that'll be good. All right, let's choose our recipe, get our sorters and our Tesla towers down. We'll put just 1 Tesla tower right here for him. Remember, for chemical plants, when we stretch them out, they have that handy little notch. So we can build our 9 chemical plants there. We'll put our, they have that nice little notch right here that we'll be able to put our Tesla towers in. All right, let's get our sorters done, and then we'll drop into another high-speed mode. And oops, that's not sorters. There we go. All right, we want to take our sulfuric acid out. Let's see, sulfuric acid out, stone in. Take our water in and our refined oil in. Take water in there, refined oil in there. Have our sulfuric acid out, stone in, find our water, and refined oil in. Alright, this one's going to be a little bit quicker, but we will jump into high-speed mode again and build it, and hopefully this time I will remember to unmute when we're done so that you can hear me actually talking. For our chemical plants that are going to be creating our sulfuric acid, that recipe calls for a total of 8 stones. So we will be using 8 stones over 6 seconds for the recipe. So that is our highest number. So if we take 8 divided by 6, that gets us 1.33333, and so on. And then we multiply that times the 1, which is the speed of the chemical plant, gives us 1.33333 per second. If we take our speed of our belt, 12 items per second, and divide that by the 1.33333, we get 9. So we'll be making each row 9 chemical plants. Yes, I did. I started talking without unmuting, but I remembered quicker than before. So we are going to jump in our construction menu here because we need water. So we're going to make water pumps. We can make 6 of them, and then we're out of iron, which is probably what we need to make iron and magnets. So we are going to jump again into cruise mode so we can get around the planet pretty quick, and then we can steal from our section over here. We have plenty of iron, and oops, that's not what I wanted to do. That's what I wanted to do. So let's see how many can we make now. So at the speed that's only 6 more. Well, we could make 6. Materials. Now we need more iron. Let's drop in here. Let's just grab 200 iron. Let's see how that does for us. So right now, you can see the third line, collecting speed is 70 per minute. So we are almost, when we increase our vein utilization, that will go up a little bit, and we're about to need to do more technology anyway, so that will go up a little bit. But what we're going to do is we're going to put 5 of these, basically 5 to a Mark II belt. I believe is, no, 5 to a Mark I belt, sorry, 5 to a Mark I belt, and that will be 10 to a Mark II belt. That will give us enough to fill up a full belt. We'll do a couple of those, couple of rows that way, so we'll want at least 20 of these, if not maybe more, and then we'll put it into a planetary logistics station and let it go, just like we've done everything else. So how many are we? We've got 1 more being made. How many do we have? We have 11, so we'll have 12. We need some more. Oh, we can make 9 more right away. So let's just do that. And I am going to take advantage of this planetary logistics station right here because it's got extra room. And so what we're going to do is we'll put foundation down right. Let's see, I think if we put it here, go one more. That will give us just enough to snake a belt through, and we'll put foundation down here as well. I think that will be enough for us to fit our water pumps right here. Now we can, once these are in place, we could put foundation down. I tend to not do that. Not that there's a problem with it. I prefer leaving them like they are. So let's get these working, and that will at least get some water into our system. And we'll get our Tesla towers here. Put foundations down on this side. Way over to there. And then we can put more foundations up this way. That will give us the ability to put another 10 of these on this side. Oops, that's not what we want those. Okay, there we go. Alright, so we will build, need just a touch more foundation. So here's what we're gonna do. We'll just build this way a little bit. That'll work. And then we'll build 10 more of those. That will give us 2 full belts of water, which should be enough to get us going for a while. Again, we may want more later, but this is enough for now. Alright, get our Tesla towers in here, and then add water as an item, supplying water. There we go. Well, we probably do want to give him more. This is one of our earliest planetary logistics stations, and he only had 10. Alright, with water flowing in there, let's head back to our build area. We use our secret shortcut again. Let's see, did we get far enough? Yeah, here we go. Right here, there we go. This is where we want to be. Alright, we do not have water yet. Should see some water coming in very soon. There's a teal color to tell us that it's en route. Here comes some water right now. There's the gurgle, gurgle, gurgle of our chemical plants. Again, if we look at the recipe, we're using 8 stone, which is our full belt, which is what we use to calculate our number of chemical plants. We're using half as much water, so we're only going to use half a belt of water. So the fact that we have a 2 full belts means we have plenty to handle this particular recipe. All right, I think, if I'm not mistaken, that we are probably at or over time. It's hard to know when you do high-speed montages exactly how long you've been playing, but with sulfuric acid, next step is chemical plants creating our graphene. We need graphene, and if we look at the recipe, you'll see it's 3 made in 3 seconds, so we need a place somewhere around here, which is probably going to be on the other side of this oil, that we can build 12 chemical plants and be able to get our graphene flowing. And once we have tons of graphene, we will hopefully be happy and ready to move on towards our green science. We are very close on our research, so before we go, let's jump in here and we will grab the things that we can grab. We had distribution range next, I think, was on our list, and all of these require green. We're researching that one now. All of those require green. We can do some more vertical construction, which we're not really using a lot of that yet. We didn't need any of these other things. We have drive engines, all of those. So let's go to our technologies, and we can grab some of these technologies that we are not using yet. We're not going to be using crystal explosive units. We can do this. That'll give us advanced chemical plants. This gives us advanced smelters, and this will give us advanced assemblers. And we can do, let's see, our vertical launch silo, and we can't do the stress system. I think that's pretty much everything we can do. Again, we really want this green science so we can do those advanced miners. Oh, we can do the satellite. We didn't do this. Our queues are full. We probably should have done this a while ago, but this lets our electricity. It's a good electricity thing. Some people use these on the prime meridians instead of regular Tesla towers, but I find that Tesla towers work just fine. So all right, that is all we have time for today. Remember, players, the claw chooses who will go and who will stay. Keep building, team.